Hey, everyone. I, 34F, have been following this sub for a long time. Lately, there's something going on in my life that I needed an opinion on. I have read a lot of posts involving sills to see if someone has gone through my situation and how they deal with it. Well, I guess this situation is unique for me and I would need some advice on this. It's about my sill. That's the reason I cannot discuss this with my husband. You know, family complexities. So, here's the thing. My sill, 27F, is planning a spring wedding. She wants to organize it at my house. Yeah, that's right. Not to brag, but I own a 4-bedroom house with a pool and big lawn. She's engaged to an Irish guy, so his family and relatives would need a place to stay over for a night when they come to attend the wedding. We have a pretty spacious living room as well and a big lawn outside. She is planning for an outdoor wedding on the lawn, followed by dinner/lunch in the living area. That's how she wants this to be. Now the obvious question is, am I okay with it? Well, I don't know. That's why I'm here seeking advice. Well, let me give some context. I have been married to my husband for 8 years. We met at grad school. We dated for 4 to 5 years before getting married. He doesn't come from a well-off family, but he is a hard-working self-made man. My Phil worked as a daily wage laborer and Mill did odd jobs. My husband has a younger sister, who has been living with my in-laws. Mind you, she is 27 and still doesn't work. Not only do they provide her with food and shelter, but they also cater to her extravagant demands. By extravagant I mean, beyond their means. Unlike my husband who has completed his master's, Sil is a school dropout. Her parents didn't even insist she complete her school because she didn't need to be told anything. She is inspired by this new age influencer that a degree doesn't make you rich or successful. It feels weird to me because I have been raised quite the opposite. Though my parents are quite well off, they never served us with any privilege. Yes, we went to a private school. Call it luxury or whatever, but beyond that, my parents did nothing to contribute to my career. When my brother and I were in high school, Dad told us up front that either we grab a scholarship or we get an education loan. He was not going to pay for our college. We used to hate it and thought our dad was a tightwad. We studied hard and got scholarships. Now that I'm older, I realize the goodness of his parenting. He made us self-reliant. Especially after seeing my Sil, I'm convinced how important is the role of parents in an individual's life. When I got my first job, straight out of college, I went nuts partying and holidaying. Dad sat me down and showed me some good housing properties. I was happy that finally, he was letting go of some money off his clingy fists, but that wasn't the case. He wanted me to buy the house myself. He paid the down payment though. He explained the importance of having my own house and the sooner the better. He advised me to rent out half of it to get help on the mortgage. Thanks to his timely advice I own this house today. Seeing the housing prices now, I think if I hadn't bought it then, I wouldn't have been able to get such a spacious property at this rate. If I have to talk about my relationship with my in-laws, it has been okay-ish. We don't meet that often. They live across the town and I lead a very busy life. I still have a decent bond with my Mill. We talk once a week, but I just cannot bond with my Sil. I just can't. We are poles apart. She doesn't like me because, during our initial interactions, I used to convince her to complete her education and get a job. She thinks I'm jealous of her because her parents are taking care of her while my parents abandoned me to live on my own. The worst part is my in-laws say they are struggling financially, yet they are feeding their 27-year-old daughter. My husband and I offered to help her get a back office job, but neither she nor my in-laws showed interest. She's a bum, no doubt there, but my in-laws should have pushed her to work, but they are happy to provide for her. Coming to her wedding, there are a couple of reasons why my Sil wants to marry at my house. One is of course, spacious. She could have the wedding, and lunch/dinner all at one place. And even her guests could stay and they need not book a hotel. Another reason is she cannot afford to rent a venue. If not my house, she has to settle for a city hall wedding. She doesn't earn and my in-laws don't have a fortune to spend at her wedding. My husband doesn't want to have a say in this because it's my house and he wants me to take the decision irrespective of what he thinks. That's how my man is and that's why I love him so dearly. So, my problem boils down to this. Do you guys think I should let her use my house as her wedding venue? Update 1. Hello, everyone. Tomorrow's the wedding and today I got to know that I'm not invited. The funny part is the wedding is at my house. Let me start from where I left off the last one. So yeah, I agreed to let her use my house for the wedding. I was definitely apprehensive about it, but eventually, I came along. Now I regret my decision. I'm fuming with anger, so please excuse me if I just rant my heart out. My Sil is nothing but a whore who uses men for money in exchange for you know what? She is not even that pretty and don't get me started on her dumbness. But you know, once the light goes off, most men don't care about all this. She might be good at what she offers, that's why she was able to hit the jackpot. That's what she calls her fiancé, jackpot. Not only she's shallow but also a liar. Got to know that her Irish fiancé is quite well off. He works as a banker. Even his family is well to do. So in order to impress them, she lied to him that my house was theirs. I knew about this lie long ago, but I didn't mind because I don't care. If putting up a facade brings any good for her, Let her be. It doesn't change the truth. When her fiancé proposed to her for marriage, she came to me and almost begged me to let her use my house for the wedding. If this was not enough, my in-laws came pleading for it. They said if I didn't agree to this, they may have to pull out a loan to finance her wedding. I told them why can't Sil and her fiancé fund it themselves. My in-laws were like, traditionally, it's always the girl's family who throws the wedding, and the Irish follow this tradition more than us. I don't know how true this is, so please don't pick up on me, it's not my words. Besides, Sil has already boasted to her fiancé and in-laws about her big house that can host a wedding. Her stupidity made me crack up. I said, what if I don't allow the wedding at my house? I mean, I can do that, right? Don't you think she should have asked me first before committing this to her fiancé? My in-laws nodded and requested I save their reputation. I told them I would do that, but they should have done a better job raising their daughter. See, I don't sugarcoat my words, and maybe that's why they think I'm arrogant. They don't understand that I say this for their own good. You see what happens next. They paraded at my house until I agreed to this. At one point, I was like, it was a matter of 2 days, let's get done with this. And yeah, people asked me in the last post if she offered to pay rent. Ha ha, no. All these happened 3 months ago when I made the original post. Fast forward to 2 days back, Sil arrived with my in-laws and 2 more guys. I was at work. I saw that on the camera installed inside. It has a motion sensor. I called her and asked what was the matter. She said those guys were wedding designers. They were here for a site visit to plan the wedding accordingly. I asked her to be careful with my stuff. She assured me she would take care of it. After I paid off my mortgage last year, I got rid of the renters who were occupying the 2 rooms upstairs. I took a leave from work to set up 2 bedrooms for them. I hired a cleaner to do the task. It's a huge house to clean everything myself. Today Sil showed up at 6 a.m. while we were still sleeping. She was leaving for her bachelorette next town. She was here to see if everything had been set up properly. She was happy to see that I set up 2 bedrooms for them and rented a bigger dining table for tonight's dinner. She then goes around the house saying, okay, those 2 rooms are set for my in-laws. Mom and Dad would take your bedroom and I would get your other room with a walk-in closet. Woo, I'm so excited to show them my big house with this fancy stuff. I can't wait to see their amazed expressions when I give them the house tour. I was confused. I mean, where do we fit in? The rest of the conversation goes like this. Me, sorry, I'm confused. If your parents take up our bedroom, where do we go? Sil, well, I don't know. You can go to your parents' house or maybe check into a hotel for 2 days. You both earn in bombs. Pretty sure you can afford it. Me, but why do we move out of our own house? Sil, because to them, it is my parents' house. Remember? And you can't live here. It would look very weird for a married brother and his wife living with my parents. I felt dizzy at the conversation. Like the WTF. Me, so, you're gonna portray this to be your parents' house and you live here like a princess? Sil, pretty much. I was pissed off already. I put up a straight face and asked, me, so as per your fairy tale, where do we live? In case your in-laws ask us. Sil, oh they won't. I mean, how would they? You guys won't be present here, right? Me, what about our stuff? Our photographs? Sil, who would know it's your stuff? I'll tell them it's all mine. The only problem is the pictures of your hallway. We'll have to remove them before they arrive. I sighed and asked, me, so even if we vacate the house to put up with your facade, we still would be meeting them at your wedding, don't we? What if they ask us then? I asked this question sarcastically, but her answer blew my mind. Sil, no. No, there's some misunderstanding here. You are not attending the wedding. And family dinner. Not at all. I was like, what the hell? Sil, I'm not sure how this happened, but I never invited you guys to the wedding. Did Mom or Dad send you the invite? I felt so stupid to talk to her dumb ass. I yelled my husband's name, who was blissfully sleeping. I yelled his name so loud that he ran and came outside. I screamed, did you know that we were not invited to the wedding? Looks like his body was awake but his mind was still asleep. Whose wedding? Oh yes, her wedding. Are we not invited? I mean, why? I said his sister was saying she had not sent the invite to us, so how could we assume that we are invited? He was like, let me grasp the situation. I really don't understand what's happening here. It took him a few minutes and a few repetitions to understand what just happened. He was aghast as to how we could not be invited to the wedding hosted at our house. My Sil said, well, if that bothers you so much, you can attend it and probably you can say your wife is unwell so she had to skip it. I asked her what was her original reason to justify our absence. This woman had the audacity to laugh at my face and said, oh, you won't believe I told them that my parents have cut you off because you're too toxic. I was like, wow, what else can I expect from you? I stormed into my room without saying anything. It was so useless to waste my time talking to her. My husband followed me inside and assured me that it was still my decision if I wanted to withdraw my consent. I said I don't know. I'm too mad to think straight. I need to cool down to make a rational decision. That's why I sat down to update it here thinking this might help. And it helped. I feel much lighter, but this doesn't mean I'm gonna bow down to the princess' demands. I don't know what to do now, but I'm definitely not leaving my house to partake in her tale of lies. Whatever happens, I'm gonna update this thread. You guys can count on me. Update 2. Hey guys, thanks for engaging in my posts. Yes, you all were right in saying that the pampered princess lives in a delusional world. Before that, let me answer a few common questions from the comments. How can my Sil access my house in my absence? After I agreed the house to be let out for the wedding, I gave her the spare key. The front porch, living room, garden, and pool area are all covered with cameras, so I felt okay sharing the spare key. Second, how come Sil's fiancé bought her lies that the house was hers? Didn't he ever visit her place? I'm not sure how she was able to sell that. She has been dating him for less than a year. 2 weeks before the wedding, she brought him to my place to give him the house tour while I was away for work. After I wrote the update that day, I discussed my thoughts with my husband. Though he was siding with me, saying it was my decision, he was worried that if I backed out, his sister's wedding would be called off and his parents' reputation would be ruined. I said, let's talk to your parents then. We drove off to their place. We told them about Sil's plan of excluding us from the wedding. Apparently, they knew about it and it seemed they were okay with it. My husband lost his mind and said, you guys knew that she was cutting us off from her wedding and you were okay with it? Mill responded in a meek voice, we thought you guys were also okay with it. None of you asked us why she hadn't sent the invite to you. At this point, I questioned myself if we were wrong in assuming that we were invited to the wedding because it was in my house. My husband and I stared at each other in shock. My husband screamed at them, do you guys realize there would be no wedding if she, me, backed out from her decision? What if we tell the truth to her in-laws? Mill panicked and requested us not to do such a thing. Phil intervened and asked me gently if I would be fine to attend the wedding if Sil sent the invite now. I remained silent and didn't answer. Because I was fuming in rage. Phil asked Mill to call Sil and ask her to send us the invite right away and apologize to us. Mill was hesitant to call her, but Phil stared at her with red eyes. Mill shakily calls her. Phil tells her to put the phone on speaker. Sil responds to the call and yells at Mill for disturbing her at her spa session. Mill told her it was urgent and that Phil wanted her to invite me and my husband to the wedding. She flips out and says, no way, I'm inviting that bitch. She thinks herself to be too smart. Mill tried to stop her in between and whispered, they're here with us. But the princess was too busy ranting. She was like, if she meets my in-laws, she's gonna outshine me. I want to look the prettiest on my wedding day. On top of that, you know how she always talks about different stuff, jobs, careers, investing, and those blah 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 to grab everyone's attention. I don't want that on my wedding. Everyone's focus should be on me. If she's around, she would make me sound dumb. So, no, she is not allowed at my wedding. She hung up. I sighed, I make you sound dumb because you are a dummy. And stormed out of the house. When my husband stood up to leave, my in-laws requested him to calm me down and that they would speak to Sil and make her apologize. Apology my ass. Meanwhile, Sil dropped me a text that I should get rid of our portraits from the hallway and move out of the house after overseeing the arrangement tomorrow. She was like, my fiancé would reach the venue with his family by 10 a.m. so move out before that. But make sure you drop my parents there before leaving the wedding planners by themselves. I will be staying over at my friend's place after the bachelorette party. I'll hit the salon directly from here and reach the venue as a bride, sure your highness. I'm gonna plan a perfect wedding for you. By the time we reached home, it was late afternoon. I called up the mechanic and got the locks of the house changed. Later in the evening, my husband called up Phil and said we were not allowing the wedding at our place, so better look out for another venue. He tried to call Sil, but she was busy being drunk at her bachelorette. Phil called back in panic asking what he should do. My husband suggested if he wanted to save his reputation then better call up his side of the guests and cancel the invite, giving any suitable reason because there was no way the wedding was happening on the scheduled date and venue. The night was thrilling just by imagining the expressions on Sil's face when her truth came out. Around 6 in the morning of the wedding day, my doorbell rang. It was the wedding designer. He was here to start the wedding preps. I said it was my house and there was no wedding there. He got confused and said Sil and her fiancé had made the booking for that day. I told him to call them because my house was not up for grabs anymore. An hour later, Sil's fiancé came knocking at my door. I answered the door and he asked me if Sil was at home because she was not answering the call. I said no, she was not here because it's not her house. He said, maybe there's some confusion here. I'm her fiancé and we have a wedding today in this house. I'm guessing you are her Sil. I saw your photos in the hallway the other day. I smiled and said, you are right, I'm her Sil, but there is more truth coming your way. Let's start with the basic one. This is my house and I live here. Sil and parents-in-law live across the city, in an apartment. By the way, congratulations on your wedding, but it's not happening here anymore because I changed my mind. I don't know what happened after that. Around 9 a.m., this princess came banging at my door. I didn't answer. She called my husband asking what was wrong that I chased away the wedding designer. He said that our house was not up for grabs and she should find another place for her wedding. She screamed and banged my door asking us to open it. I opened my window and yelled, "If there's one more banging at my door, you might end up in prison on your wedding day, if at all it happens." She cursed us and called us names for ruining her life. She left after the neighbors threatened to call the cops on her. She blocked her number, but she bombarded my husband's phone with filthy voicemails, calling him a simp for not standing up for his sister. I asked him if he was upset. He said he was upset, but she had called for it. She cannot assume everything to be served to her on a platter. She was ungrateful and took us for granted. She told her fiancé it was her house and planned the wedding here without even asking my permission. On top of that, she cut us off from the wedding. Calls me bitch. What good does she expect in return? My in-laws have not taken this well. They blame me for tarnishing their reputation. It makes me question their value system because they were clearly okay with their daughter cutting us off from the wedding despite hosting it at my property. As far as her wedding is concerned, it was called off that day. My SIL and parents-in-law went to meet them to request them to wait for a week so that they could arrange another venue. I heard her fiancé called out her BS in front of everyone and said he was calling off the wedding and he would have to rethink their relationship. God knows what happens now. I'm glad I'm out of this drama. I have a life to lead and a career to excel. God bless her lying ass.